and
Loading, track with the lyrics like I'm bowling. Pushing on, keep rolling.
Here he goes,
When they listen about
Week3
golden,
just has to
golden,
be the
one more
kicker,
time,
and he
These
does!
are silver, these are
Running
are golden,
all the way
Cards
to
on the table,
daylight,
there's no folding.
and
Spit
puts
bars at
the
the clock,
touchdown on the board.
Along, I get ripped off, man, get pissed off when I start lift off. Sweet like flavors, cookie and biscuit.
Quarterback draw for hair, working perfectly.
Every time I tripped up, little petty tender, the big rock. Me and my G's do everything mix up. Full circle, not everybody linked up. That's irrelevant, maybe like an elephant. Keep your heart, but you know that it's elegant. Get mad, but always benevolent. Always moving up, just leveling. Constantly telling them rhyming, bridging. Cycle through these streets, I'm pedaling. Hibernating and boom, she's back again. Oh, cause a little fire on the track again. Turn the music up, vibe like an icon.
Hennessy.
Icon, yeah, if you want
Beautiful
buff,
protection.
Psycho.
Wide open, busted coverage like I mentioned there, and Lewis Geyer. Untouched. Jogging through the
Icon.
Score being 62-21. Xavier Edwards has the kicker to beat. He could be off to the races. Xavier Edwards, wire to wire, touchdown.
Jarvis McClam takes the ball past the 20-yard line, and he will scamper into the end zone. Touchdown, Raiders! Uh-oh, and he's got the windmill.
More time, your favorite MC's bronze or silver. Too bad these vibes here are golden.
ball.
On the table, there's no
And
folding.
the catch and a foot race.
That's irrelevant, maybe
And
like an
you
elephant.
are
Keep it
not
hard, but you
going
know
to
that it's
catch
relevant. Get
Markel
mad, always
Castle.
benevolent, always moving,
Oh,
just leveling.
my.
Constantly telling them rhyming, breathing. Cycle
Now
through
we
these streets, I'm
speculate
pedaling.
back in the box seat
Hibernating
again.
and oh, cause the little fire on the track again. Turn the music on, vibe like an icon.
A little stutter step maneuver to get free of Osamek down the sideline. Build sack. The huge.
Welcome back to another episode of the Dragon's Land. Here with me, I have my good friend Danny, aka Charger, and sorry.
It's good to be here again with you guys. Welcome to a new episode.
And my other good friend Santiago over here.
Always a pleasure. I want to talk about strange schedule this week because it wasn't very short the games, but it still existed.
Yeah, I mean it was a really weird week. Despite of last episode, we talked about maybe this games were gonna be more tighter or
close.
more but it turned out something completely different.
Yeah,
I mean it's football, you never know.
some really big blowouts. We'll talk about it later. But yeah, some of the games, when you see the results, you don't see like blowouts.
Yeah,
But then when you watch the game, the first third quarter of some of these games were really like only one team.
The closest game was the Thunder against Wrocław, and it was 9 points. I think that was 36 in the third quarter, more or less.
Yeah, about
To Berlin. So it was.
No,
It was a tough week.
No
for the
defense.
fans.
No defense.
No.
No defense allowed.
So
I mean, especially because, like, as you were saying, you look at the scoreboards and you would think, okay, this is kind of like interesting games or whatnot. But yeah, the defense decided not to show up this week's. And well, anyways, let's move on to the rankings and let's see how is everything looking so far. All right, so let's start. Dragons Raiders, first game of the week. I would say it's a good point to see where the Raiders and Dragons really are within the league. I'm surprised that Dragons didn't do as much as we would hope or expect. It is true that the D-line applied like a lot of pressure on Connor
Miller, yeah.
This weekend, and
I think it was a one-sided game. We have talked the last week and the first week that Dragons hasn't allowed any sacks. They allowed many in this game. I don't know the exact number, but I think it's like 4 or 5, and pressures is like the 8% of the game. Yeah. It was so tough, and I think that Raiders showed that they are one of the candidates to the championship and clearly the best team in the conference. They played better. Their offense was all the time making plays. It's true that it wasn't a blowout like others in this week, but they played really well. And the defense, well, we have talked about the defensive end. Gustav played really well, hit every time the QB. And then after that, when we saw the secondary, they get, I think that is 1 interception or 2.
I think just one. Just one.
That it was really tough for Dragons. So I think that it was one of the best games of Raiders and Dragons. It's at the end not a bad team, but not a champions contender right now.
I mean, I agree with you, especially because Dragons, we got to see that Connor tries to abuse a little bit of the deep balls a little bit too much, especially having in consideration that right now we know, and it's well known, that the Dragons offensive line, it's probably not one of the best. I mean, along the years, it has been improving, of course, but against teams such as Raiders that has like a huge and really good defensive line, Connor just can't be taking those shots. He has to be thinking more about the quick game, more about the screen passes, trying to relieve that pressure and keep the defense on their toes and trying to open the space and try to slow down the pace a little bit from the defense by throwing quicker. So I would say that Dragons, right now, they were not making the best decisions on the offensive side, and I think that's what really, at the end, cost them the game.
Yeah, it was a tough loss for the Dragons. I mean, they were undefeated so far. We were saying last week that this game would show who's the best team in the conference. Yeah. You were saying now is the Raiders, but watch out with Stuttgart, because they are looking really, really, really good. So, David,
let's go Stuttgart. Let's go.
We have to talk about that game because it was a fun one to watch.
We'll talk about that game later on, but I mean, the Raiders, they were just fantastic this week. Yeah. Sandro is back. Sandro Platzgammer, we're seeing him right now on screen. But especially Jarvis McClam, that number 5, the receiver. Yeah. I think he had like over 100 receiving yards in the first half against the Dragons defense. He was unstoppable, but it's just that to me, they have so many good playmakers on offense.
Yeah.
And then, as you were saying, the defense as well, especially the front seven, they put a lot of pressure. They didn't allow rushing yards to the Dragons offense. And the DBs had a pretty big game as well, especially playing against some really good receivers from the Dragons. I would like to say that it's not just the O-line that's struggling a little bit for the Dragons, but also this game to me was the D-line. Like, the trenches in both sides of the ball. The Dragons aren't great so far, and the D-line didn't pressure. Like, they weren't able to pressure the Raiders quarterback.
I mean, because we were like, as you guys know, we also record the show in Spanish, and previously we were talking about it, and this question came up about, does the Dragons defense, like the box, when it comes to the defensive linemen, the linebackers, do they lack the size to play against these big teams and be able to apply pressure, or maybe it's just that the offensive lineman of Raiders was too powerful? And what do you guys think?
Well, I think that the offensive line of Raiders is one of the best in the league, so that props to them. But I think that there is an issue about the size. Last year with La Rubia, with Alejandro Fernandez, they have that kind of player that puts double pressure. So you have to put two linemen with him and can attack another size. But right now you can't. You don't have that kind of a special player. One against one, Dragons hasn't has the side. They didn't have first year, they didn't have second year, and they won't have fourth year next year. I think that the size problem in Spain is always an issue. We have it in offensive line and in defensive line, and I think that you need players like La Rubia or some kind of Kyle Kitchens to allow the rest to sign. If not, it's going to be really difficult. And Charger said in the program that, in the Spanish program, that Sebastian Casteller was out, and he is that kind of linebacker that helps a lot the team, because he's not the tallest player, but he has so much IQ football that he can compensate. So I think that without him, Dragons has a huge problem outside, and that makes them look like they are not quick enough or not smart enough, and that's not the issue. That's a size, not a skill challenge for them.
We're saying also that we know that we don't have the size, right? But our defense has always been really aggressive, and so far this season they haven't been on that point yet. I think of aggressiveness, and that's like a huge part for the Dragons to be a successful team. Is like key to me, for the defense to dominate.
And I think he's a really risky player, and I mean really risky because he goes for every 50-50 ball, and he usually doesn't have the size. But Andy Vera, the cornerback that played the two first years, he was that kind of aggressive player that it's true that it can be a complete, and if it was a complete, it was a touchdown, because he has that lack of size, and in a 1-versus-1 run, he's going to lose. But he was that kind of ball hawk that goes to the ball, that intercepts, that makes big plays. I think that Dragons has a little problem in that. They don't have that kind of, I don't want to say this word, but mad player that can change the game in that burst of energy.
Yeah, I mean, especially because we saw it in Andy last year. He has a good nose to when it comes to smelling where and like sensing where the ball is going to go. Sometimes instincts can play you in the bad way, and you can like miss, obviously. But it is important to have a player like that on your like secondary. And the lack of that, the lack of perhaps size or a dominant player such as La Rubia, right? It could be a really like a game changer to when it comes to the defense. And again, focus on a little bit more on the Raiders. I think, after all, solid team, both ends of the ball, offense, defense, special teams. They don't have mistakes, which is something to expect.
That's a good special teams. When you don't allow any mistake, that's a good special team. You can produce more plays, or you can have the best returner in the league. But if you don't miss, that's perfect.
So, anyways, moving on to the next game. Hamburg against Cologne, 34-17. Any type of feelings towards Cologne? This this week, especially seeing them after last week, that they managed to get the W, right? But it was a tough one. It was a tough win. And this week against I would say, established Hamburg Sea Devils, super hungry for this win, super important for them. Feelings about this game?
I think it's strange because we could analyze only the game, but we know that Dylan Jacob is out, that Jared Eriksson is going to enter in the QB position. I think it's a tough one for Cologne. I don't think that Dylan played so bad to be cut on week 3, but I understand what Cologne is thinking.
I mean,
we want to enter in playoff. We need a top 3 QB if he comes from outside Germany. But I don't know if they can find that in a week 3 cut. That's the issue. In the game, Hamburg was better. For me, Hamburg doesn't play the best game of their capacities. They played more or less well. They didn't make flaws. That's the good thing, that they didn't make mistakes. But I think that it wasn't a good game from Hamburg, and it was a really easy victory. So if you have that, that's an issue, a big issue for Cologne.
I mean, here's the thing. I disagree with you in when it comes to the QB from Cologne not playing that bad. I would say that last week he did a
awful game,
especially because the special teams scored more points than the offense.
Yeah,
that's plain and simple the reason why they managed to pull off the W. Again, this week they managed to score some points, right? But I would say that the biggest issue is the QB making fatal mistakes, such in pick 6, not going through your progressions, not making the best decisions. I would say that cutting your starting QB on week 3, it's tough for Cologne because it's a tough situation, but it's still early on enough to manage to bring someone to solve the second half of the season.
Yeah, that's for sure. If you think that he is not the man, better cut him here than cut him 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. Yeah. But the timing, next game, it's rain. We will talk about that later. It's a little bit tough for you. It's a little bit tough.
Yeah, I've talked to Carlos Carrasco, the O-line from Cologne, Spanish O-line, and he's told me for us during the game we thought that we could beat Hamburg. They didn't see themselves as a worse team than the Sea Devils. So I understand why they released the quarterback. Let's see how that turns out. But I mean, Hamburg, they dominate the game. It was a must win for them. They couldn't allow another loss. So they had a decent game. I'm with you, Santi. I think they didn't play their best game of the season. Well, maybe it was their best game of the season.
Of this season, yes.
But right there with the Paris game, week 1. But they expect more from themselves for what I've talked with Carlos. So I mean, it's an aggressive move to release your quarterback, but let's see how that turns out. And
let's
Hamburg did play well. So.
Anyways, moving on to the next game, which we thought it was going to be a complete disaster. Turns out it didn't go as bad as we thought it was going to go. Moving on to the next game, the Enthroners against the Kings, 24-47. What do we mean as bad? Not as many turnovers as we thought they were going to have.
Less than 5, yes.
Less than 5.
Victor,
I mean, coming up to this game, I don't know about you guys, but I thought, okay, Kings, despite of not playing very well so far, they should get the win due to the fact that they're the vets compared to the Enthroners, and they managed to take the win.
Yeah, but for me it was a bad game from Leipzig, and I want to explain it. First of all, Ferber has cut his QB, Gerard Evans. He played really poor. We see in the video there is a touchdown from Leipzig that I still don't understand what he does. He's going to take the sack and he throws the ball. It taken touchdown from Leipzig. He played really poorly. He didn't have any type of control. It's true that the O-line of Ferber is the worst in the league, and that's a big issue for the QB. I don't want to say he's awful, but he hasn't played well.
No,
Or good enough to stay in the league.
No.
And Leipzig at the end, it wasn't a great game offensively, or defensively more or less. But it wasn't that kind of game that you play against Ferber, you win easy because they are bad. It's like you win more or less, but it wasn't a blowout. It wasn't a game that. It's true that you couldn't lose it in any time of the game. You couldn't lose it, but I'm not really sure. I think that for Leipzig it was very important, this win. They are 2-1. That's the crazy part.
I mean, that's the craziest part, yeah.
But a tough game. For Leipzig, better than the first game. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Because the Prague game was really awful. Second game you lose, no problem. This is better than Prague, but for me they need to take 2 or 3 more steps only to fight to not be the worst German team. So that's difficult.
that's well, before we talked about the worst German team or that conversation, I want to hear Chargers' opinion about it.
Yeah, I mean, the Enthroners, they're not quite there yet. In like as a team that can compete in this league, we've seen Leipzig. I think, like in my opinion, they dominate the Enthroners. It's true that they were right there, like they kept up during the game, but the Kings, they are not a good team so far. To me, I can say that they're the worst German team right now.
Yeah, I would agree. I
think the other option is Centurions.
Centurions
has more talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, like to me, the Kings, they took the win, but it wasn't like a pretty win.
I mean, they managed to win 24-47.
Yeah,
and a W is a W.
But a rookie team in the league, and as we were saying, the worst offensive line. Probably we're talking about the worst team in the league right now, from the Hungary team. And to me, like when the worst team scores almost 25 points on you, 24, that doesn't say a lot about your team.
Yeah. I mean, we can talk about that you spoke later on with the Lions against Vikings game.
Yeah,
but it's a different.
I mean, they got some good playmakers like we're seeing right now. Number 25, Barrow. He's playing all over the field. DB. He's playing some offensive snaps. He's playing special teams. He took a couple of big returns, but it's only like him and that running back, that number 5, that they are like the only playmakers in the Kings team. So I don't know about it.
I mean, talking about the fact that their team moves regarding to cutting their QBs, I understand Enthroners cutting their QB, but I'm surprised. Well, I'm not. Yeah, I'm surprised that Cologne decided to cut their QB before Kings did.
You are 1-2 and they are 2-1. I think that's the issue, that you can't cut your QB going 2-1. Well, you can, of course, you can, but it's like we have win the games that we have to win. The loss that we have, it was in the books before the game. Yeah. So I think that's kind of. I haven't played as bad as a team. Him as a player, I think he's worse than Dylan Jacob. But that's the issue.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, Cologne lost their first game against Paris, which
you can lose it.
Right? Last week, they took the W.
Yeah.
And this week, against a good team, good solid Hamburg team. The Kings, it is true that they're 2-1, right? But
you have won Lions and Enthroners. Yeah.
Yes. You gotta see who are you winning against and how are you winning.
I have to say this: I wouldn't be surprised if he's cut next week.
Me neither.
They play against Vikings.
Yeah. And also you gotta see who you're losing against, because they lost, and how you're losing that game. They lost against a good Panthers team, but Panthers, they blow them up.
It was a
tough one.
It was a tough one. Talking about tougher ones. Moving on to the next game, Lions against the Vikings. 21-69. Surprisingly, Lions scored 21 points. It is true that most of the points were scored at the very end of the game. And, well, the Vikings were already way ahead way ahead. And, like, the number 2 team came out to the game, and I understand the Vikings wanted to give reps to their other players, and understandably, well, Lions managed to score a couple points.
And I think that the difference between Lions and Enthroners, we see life in Lions. We don't see a good team. We don't see a team that it's really candidate to nothing, but we see some good plays, some good players. The homegrown talent is better. I think that's for sure. Set players are playing better than Hungary players. I think that's the kind of 48 lose. It's tough because it's really tough, but it's against Vienna. Yeah. It's like it's more acceptable to lose 48 points behind Vienna than 24 against Leipzig. Yeah. That's the kind of game it was for Vikings. They played relaxed and they destroyed. So
yeah, I mean, oh sorry, you were saying?
I'm right with Santi. I mean, the Vikings, former champions, they're a good team. Like we've only seen them play a couple times, like just 2 weeks so far. They almost lost that game against Berlin last week because I think they were out of the game that fourth quarter. But this time we see them again dominating as they did throughout the first 3 quarters of the last week. And their offense, they just like
you can't stop that offense
all over the game. They have some great talent on offense. We saw Boa again, that receiver number 4. Florian Wigan is back, that fullback / running back, the Austrian player. We haven't seen his brother so far. I'm surprised, but look at this big rush by the Austrian running back. Xavier Edwards was great returning as well, and in some offensive plays. I mean, Vienna is scary again. I can see them going all the way again.
Yeah. I mean, Vikings. What we were talking about last week is that we were concerned that they were not focused enough on finishing until the very end. Taking
overconfidence, maybe that's the.
Last week.
Last week
against Berlin, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
But this week we managed to get to see a more focused Vikings, and actually the offense working until the very end of the game. The defense, same thing. Obviously, the second unit came out, and obviously you're gonna allow a couple more points, understandably. But one thing that I would like to say about the Lions is that it kind of reminds me of the Rams during the second part of the season when they changed their QB. That they managed to start doing stuff, although they were a new team. They were not great, but you could see certain things that were like, okay, there's a team there. They're working on it, but there's a team there.
I don't want to sound disrespectful, but I think that they look like an elf team. A bad elf team, but an elf team.
Yeah.
That was something that, for example, Rams, in the first half of the season, they didn't look like an elf team. It was like, they are playing here, they don't belong. I think Lions is showing that they belong. They are not a good team, by any means, but I think they are a little bit like with worse talent, but Dragons' first season, the first games, that you lose, that you have some blowouts really hard, but you see talent, you see effort, you see homegrown players that can develop into something. I think that's the kind of team that it's not gonna win more than, well, maybe they win the 2 games against Freiburg and some game more, but doesn't win more than 3 games.
I was thinking maybe they'll beat Leipzig.
Yeah, probably.
Kings on the second leg.
On the back, yeah.
I think. Yeah, I can see them games like going up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good record. It's a good record. Managing to win three games, four games even on the first year. It could be a good look for them.
I think Lions is the positive in those bad teams. They are the positives.
Yeah, I would agree. If you guys don't mind, we can move on to the next game, which is the Milano Siemens against the Stuttgart Surge. 26-40. Let's go, Stuttgart. Let's go. I mean,
you gotta
what a hell of a game. A hell of a game. Despite of a big difference in the scoreboard. I would say that both teams, when it comes to their offense, they had like really interesting things, interesting playbooks, interesting players, and we managed to see that through the entire game.
Yep.
Stuttgart, still, I'm very impressed about how they managed to rebuild their team compared to the first year, second year, and now this. They look completely different team, and it's nice to see them. It's interesting to see them. You know, it's fun to see them.
It's a fun team to see. I think that's the big part. Obviously, being fan doesn't get you wins,
Yeah.
but I think that they are that kind of team that I want to watch every week.
Yeah.
Because they have a very diverse offense. The defense are making plays. It's true that it's not the best defense in the game, but they are making plays. I think Schurtz's 2 first years it was awful seeing them because it was like that kind of team that has the talent but doesn't show up. This year they are showing up. They are fun. They are having some offense variety that is really nice for the viewer. I think they are a really cool team, and I want to take props also to Milano.
Yeah.
I think that they are the new team that goes 0-2. They lost against Dragons, a close game. They lose this game. It wasn't so close, but it wasn't a blowout. I think they are a good team to see. They have some Italian talent that plays well. They have some import that are doing a good job. I think that's the kind of team of new in the league that I want to see.
Yeah.
So I think that Stuttgart is an interesting team, and I know it's their second team. But I have to say that Milano is
It's your
is
second team?
starting to get a place in my heart. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what to say about the search? They are undefeated so
Yeah.
far. One of the only 4 teams, I believe, in the
Exactly.
league are undefeated right now, and they've played 2 tough games in my opinion. They faced Paris on the first game, and now they took Milan, who is a conference rival. It wasn't easy game for them, and they dominated throughout the game. So I see that they are improving a lot. Watch out with this play we're seeing right now on screen. That jet sweep with the fake stretch run on the other side. They even fake the camera. The cameraman, he couldn't keep up with the jet sweep. Great block by number 88 as well. Search is doing some interesting stuff for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, Milan as well, I think offensively they are doing some good stuff. We talk about the screen plays, the screen game that they have, some quick game in the pass game. They're a solid team. I think for them to start winning games, they gotta take care of their DBs. They are allowing too many yards on like deep throws. Geyer had a big touchdown on them, like a 70-yard play, and those type of plays are the ones that kill you in the games. So they gotta take care of that.
Yeah, especially because, like, I mean, as you said, Milano has like really interesting stuff. I would say that they know how to use their weapons. They know what they're capable and what they're not capable of. And to what it comes to having to face bigger teams, obviously German teams are big, especially compared to teams from Spain or Italy. And they managed to have like a really good, interesting playbook that allows them to have different weapons to use against that, such as like the screens that you were talking about. And again, I would say that Milano should really take care more of the ball, because sometimes, even though they're not bad throws in the sense that, oh, I'm just like throwing it out there and whoever gets it, gets it. But it is true that, for example, we have seen a couple times that the ball hits the hand of the wide receiver and the ball shoots out, reaches the sky, and all of a sudden a defender just grabs the ball.
Both interceptions that the quarterback throws on this game, it was the running back's fault. I mean, for me as a running back, I gotta take credit for these ones. I mean, the first one was a screen. It was like really read by the linebacker by the whole defense from Stuttgart. But then the second interception, it was just a running back swing. He tips the ball, and a really good play by the cornerback from Stuttgart. But I mean, to me, it's just, as I said, the defensive backs that gotta settle down on this league.
Anyways, let's move on to the next game. München against the Guards, 39-10. I would say that it's a shame that the Guards have only one weapon, which is Silas Nasita, right? Because this kid is amazing. He's doing it all of it. You can see it over there, just doing like a wild card formation and just like grabbing the ball with a draw.
Yeah.
And just grabbing the ball, making the big plays. It definitely caught off guard the Munich team, the Ravens, in the first quarter, in the first half. But then, as soon as they managed to figure it out and neutralize Nasita, I would say that the Ravens just dominated the rest of the game.
Oh yeah.
They are the best team of the new.
Yeah.
They are the best.
I would say I would agree with you that right now, from the rookie teams, I would say Munich, Milano.
Well,
I mean, from like okay.
I would say Munich, Paris, Milano.
Okay, all right.
It's because I think that Paris, they should. We will talk later, but it's the hype that we have before the season and how they are playing.
Yeah, they are a good team.
But they are a good team.
Okay.
But I think that the thing here with Munich is they don't look like a new team. Because kind of game, we have seen, for example, Dragons first year, we have seen Rams second year, that you do one play all the time and you can't stop it. And Nasita starts the game and you see that he can make 400 yards and nobody's gonna stop it. And then Ravens start to adjust, change the defense, change the way they are looking Nasita more like a wildcat QB and less than a running back or a wide receiver, and they start to improve. Their offense play well, the team is well coached. I think that Munich is a really good team to watch, the Ravens. And I think Markel Castle is really, really good, the wide receiver. Yeah. But I think that they are a good team and a good coaching staff. And that's really important in a new team.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Sean Shelton, the league's MVP from last season, he's part of that coaching staff for sure.
Our new general manager in Munich, that's the crazy part. But
I think for sure he's taken some of his knowledge onto the Munich offense for sure, and they really are looking good, as you guys said. Right up there with Paris, probably the best team, the best new team. Even right now, better than Paris.
When we talk about Paris, we have to talk about that because that's another.
And then Nasita, it's funny that you call him a kid because we know he's
more veteran than this.
I know. But he is playing like a young star. He's doing it all for the Swiss team. And as I said last week, if you stop Silas Nasita, you stop the whole Guards offense, and that's a big issue for them because if the rest of the teams start to figure out how to stop him, then offensively they are not a good team. Like they don't have any other weapons, and that's really easy for the other defenses to stop.
I think they are good preparing the games in the sense that they start the first quarter really well.
Yeah.
But then I think it's a skill issue. They don't have enough skills and enough players with that talent to make a judgment. Yeah, it's like we prepare this game plan. And we're gonna stick with it because it's the only thing we can do. I mean, the first quarter but after that.
I mean, especially because like you can put like Nasita as in a wildcat position, because you're just straight up giving the ball to your playmaker. Right? We already saw it last year with Quentin Pounds and like in the Centurions that they did the same thing more or less. But if you manage to figure out where is he gonna be on the field, you're done. You're done. Especially because like if you camouflage a play with like motions and like setting up screens and picks for Nasita to get wide open, you still depend on the QB to throw the ball precisely enough for him to grab it. So, the Guards could be another team that they're thinking maybe changing their QB next week. I don't know, since we've already seen a bunch of other teams already making moves like these. I don't know.
For me, it would be wild that we are talking that 1/4 of the league can change the QB week 4 without any injury. Because I don't know. Sullivan can play more in the season. Frankfurt change the QB. Okay, I understand. But we have 2. We have Gerard Evans and Dylan Jacob out, and we have talked about Leipzig. Guards. There are 4.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
Are you saying that they are thinking about releasing Silas Nasita as their quarterback? Nah, that was just a joke.
Is Nasita a good enough QB to play also as a QB?
Play in the ELF.
I mean, it's tough. It's tough because I mean, at the end we saw it against Dragons. The Guards. The main problem of the Guards, I would say that it's the QB, because at the end of the day, he is the one making the decisions, throwing the ball.
In attack, yeah. But the secondary has also
I mean,
a lot.
Yeah, it is true, and it's true because, like, for example, Munich, what we're talking about before, that they're like a solid team, but again, their secondary, it's a little bit iffy.
Yeah.
They're a little bit slow. They're a little bit.
They allowed more than 50 points from Tirol in a shootout.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. But anyways, want to add on anything else to this game, or should we?
Just that, to me, the Guards, they are not looking that bad. It's true that offensively they rely on Nasita, but defensively they're okay. And it's like, it's starting to get desperate for them to get a first win. Because
I think it's a little bit Lions situation. It's not a favor. It's like that kind of bad team in the first year that you know that they are going to lose a lot, but you don't see them like a really, really bad team.
Yeah, I would agree with
I
that.
see them a little bit stronger than the Lions, but I think the Lions have more talent maybe than the Guards.
I totally agree.
Anyways, moving on to the next game, we have the Panthers against the Berlin Thunders. 27-36. Congratulations, Charger, for the win.
Yeah, Berlin.
I mean, it was a really, I wouldn't like to say a close game because it was not. The Panthers suffer a lot of pressure from that front seven. That Berlin is, I mean, it's wild how much amount of pressure. You were talking about it in the Spanish version, like it was like in 70%, something like that.
Yeah, it was madness because at the end we have seen that Kyle Kitchen is really good, of course, but you double team Kyle Kitchen, and then the pressure was all the time in the QB, in the running back when they are running. I don't know the stat exactly, but for me watching the game, it was like 70% of the Panthers throws in the first and second and third quarter was with pressure, was with a hurry, with a hit, a sack. I don't think that that's sustainable for a team. I think that Berlin is playing like a very much better team than the rest of the years. And for me, this shows that Kyle Kitchen has been so underutilized the last 2 games, the last 2 years, not because he wasn't playing well, because the rest of the defensive line was awful. Yeah. Right now he has teammates that play, can play, that can be good enough, and it's madness. I mean, in the game, the Elf put a video about the pressure of Berlin this week, and it was all the time. You see Kyle Kitchens bull rush someone and make a spin move, and then when the camera is focusing him, in the other side there is always entering someone. They are blitzing. I think that's the kind of intelligent play calling that you need in defense. And Berlin, it was 36. I mean, it was 30-6. Then Panthers start to score, but for me it was an amazing game from Berlin.
Yeah, I think the Panthers QB, it has PTSD from that game, because like
I'm pretty sure about
waking up in the middle of the night thinking about Kyle Kitchens and the entire Berlin.
The story of Lawrence Taylor that the QB called a timeout because he didn't see him. I think it was the same. I don't see him in the game. Timeout. He's gonna hit me. Timeout.
Crazy. Yeah, I mean Berlin. Shout out to them. I'm really happy, really proud with my second team. Yeah, I mean they just show the league how capable they are of being like a really good team to compete against pretty much anyone in this league. Because remember the Panthers, they were undefeated.
Yeah.
We were talking last week how good they were playing, how dominant they've been, and then they come up here, Berlin, and they get a big win. They dominate the game, and yeah, you see some big plays again from Wolczek, that receiver number 7 from Berlin. He's one of the best, for sure, one of the best national receivers in Germany, and right now one of the best receivers in the league even. He's been really good. I want to talk about the quarterback as well. He's been like a really dangerous weapon for the Thunder. I think he's changed the whole offense because he's a threat running, because we know how big he is, the size. I mean, look at him. He's just.
I mean, he's a monster. I think he's like 194 centimeters and like 118 kilos.
Yeah,
I think
probably
it is.
so.
Almost 120 kilos. That's like offensive lineman size,
Yeah.
or at least defensive lineman size. It's crazy. And we've seen how good he is with the ball in his hands as well. So Berlin looking great with that front 7 that you guys talk about. I want to give a shout out as well to the running back from the Panthers, the Polish running back, because I think he's pretty young. He's I think 21, 22 years old. I'm pretty sure this is his rookie season in the league, and he had a tremendous game. 20 rushes for like
24
yards. And 1 touchdown. He was insane. He was on fire the whole game, but it wasn't enough to beat Berlin because they were so good.
They were really good. Congrats to Berlin to taking this W against the Panthers, which we've already talked about, that they were looking really strong, especially coming out from wins such as Hamburg. Big teams. But anyways, let's move on to the next game. Not that one. The last game of the week, the Paris against the Fire, 28-58. The record broken by Jadrian Clark, 8 touchdowns. What a crazy game, guys.
Not a bad game. No?
Not bad at all.
But
8 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's
that's madness. That madness. I can't say much. I think that Rain is so good. They play in offense is amazing. Jadrian Clark. If you see almost every touchdown, the player is alone. They have no cover here. It's true that Paris defense is not the best. Okay, but they are playing so well, and I think we talked about last year. Rain was a good defense. They so glimpse in attack, in offense. But I think this is a Coach Whittinger thing.
I mean, I'll give props to Coach Whittinger.
And Jadrian Clark, it's also a great QB. We have talked about him in Spanish broadcast last year, first year. He was in Hamburg, he was in Rain. I think that he's maybe not the best. For me, he's not the best QB, but he's the one that is the more stable.
I mean,
he doesn't have a bad game.
No.
He can have a really good, or a very good game, but he doesn't have that kind of bad week
I mean, I would say that it's something.
Consistent.
I think he has gotten consistent through the years. I mean, I would say that we have seen the evolution of Clark through the years, starting off in Hamburg, having to share reps with Cisse. He was released. In my opinion, it was a big mistake from Hamburg to let Jadrian go.
Now they have a cornerback.
They had to look out for another QB, right? Last year, Clark joined the Fire.
Half season.
And now with a coaching staff as impressive as it is with Coach Whittinger, I think this is a great duo, because it's not like with other teams that we have seen in the past, a dynamic duo between QB and receiver. I would like Clark is putting the ball, distributing the ball all through the field. And I think this is more a dynamic duo between the coach, Wettinger, and Clark.
It's a game with more than 500 passing yards. That's madness. I want to let Charger talk, but I can't explain how good Rain is playing right now.
No, it's.
I think they are right now the first team.
Yeah.
I know Vikings, they are the champs. We have to respect them. But for me right now, Rain is like seeing, I don't know, it's crazy. It's really crazy to watch them.
Yeah, I can argue with you. I mean, we've seen this week. I think we've all watched the best team right now in the league. It's crazy how bad they dominate the Musketeers.
And also the kick, it was the farthest in the history of the league, 50 yards.
60 yards.
Another record.
ELF record.
I mean, we've talked about the Jadrian Clark record of 8 touchdowns in the game, but it's crazy to think that 6 of them were in the first half. I mean, they just came out and dominated the first half. 45 points against the Musketeers in the first half. I know the Paris defense is not great. We thought that is their offense who's gonna carry that team.
And they're not doing it. They're not doing it so far.
Doing it. The Rain Fire defense, it was they ball out as well. But I mean, the Musketeers, they gotta keep improving. They gotta keep going. We know they are a rookie team, but we've talked about it.
I mean, they're a rookie team. You know
how
what I mean?
much? Yeah.
They're
They are not, and in both sides, because you are talking about, for example, like Edward, Remy Bertelin, Carl Sweet, that they have already played in the ELF.
Yeah.
But also they are not a rookie team in the sense of they have come together now. They have been playing, I think that 30 of the 50 players, they have been playing all season long in France. So they are not a rookie locker room also.
Yeah, I mean, because we know teams such as Barcelona, for example, that due to the Spanish league, the team gets to reunite and start their practice and their workouts together as a team already in, what, April?
May. May, if, for example, this year that Demons went to the final and Rivas and they have both sent players, May.
Yeah. May. All right, May. Paris already started working out before Christmas.
They were playing in the same team in the French league.
Yeah.
You know?
So,
in
Flash, yeah.
And it's impressive how they're not managing to produce as well as we thought they were going to do, like at the beginning of the year.
For example, talking about that and what you said about Milan. Milan have been more or less the same time practicing, but Milan doesn't have that kind of European and American players that have already played in the ELF, that have that level. I think that's the issue, that Paris has spent salary cap, so I put in marks, the money, the production. They wanted to win not to win the league, but to fight for the playoff. Siemens is more like a process.
Yeah.
Like this year we start, next year we play better, more like Dragons. I think that's the issue with Paris.
I mean,
they wanted to take the league by storm,
and
the storm is taking them.
Yeah, especially because like when we were talking about before about the rookie teams, which were the ones that we thought that they were at top, more at the bottom, no doubt, Munich, right? And for the second spot, in my opinion, having all this in consideration, Milano, I would say that they take the second spot, despite of not winning right now.
They are playing better, but they have less talent, maybe?
They're playing better, having consideration that Paris has this huge amount of talent within the team, and they're not doing as we expected for them to do.
Yeah. I mean, I also think, to defend a little bit the Musketeers, that we gotta give them some time. They've played some tough opponents so far, and I mean, it's still their first year. I know they got some experienced players and all that you were saying, but to me, the way they came out of the locker room in the second half, it shows that they are a big team. They haven't been winning. They haven't been as good as we thought they were gonna be this season, but I think with some more time, we can see a really great team because all of that talent they got on offense. Botella, Sweet. I mean, on the second half, they score 2 touchdowns, like 2 really quick touchdowns. And for a moment, I thought that they could maybe make a really big comeback. But I mean, Reign, they were just too good. They dominated the Musketeers for sure. But I mean, I still got some belief in the Musketeers.
And I think we can't be too harsh with any team that plays against Reign right now.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
but
I think that
for sure.
it doesn't matter which, except Vikings and maybe Riders. But I think it doesn't matter which team plays against Reign. If they play like this week, how do you stop them?
Yeah,
they are
but-
having what, 5 receivers having a touchdown?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, they barely won against Cologne the first week. Paris.
Yeah, that's true.
Cologne.
Yeah.
They lost against Stuttgart. A really good-looking Stuttgart right now, but still. Having in consideration the amount of talent. No disrespect to Stuttgart, my Stuttgart. Let's go. But again, with that amount of talent, it is true. We have to keep in consideration that Rainfire, dogs, big dogs, right? But I don't know. I'm disappointed.
I think
I
that they
wish.
should Paris.
I mean, I want them to do better because I know that they can do better. That's why I'm being harsh with them because I know that they can do better.
And I think that Paris has the issue that it's the opposite that Surge that we talked in the program. Right now, for me, Surge is the 4th team in the ELF. We have talked in the Spanish program. And I think that spot should have, or at least in the preseason, should be in Paris.
Yeah.
Paris right now is not a bottom team, but is what?
Yeah,
8,
it's like a middle,
9?
Yeah, middle team.
Like in the Dragons tier of 8, 9. And with how we watch them before season, that's really tough for them.
Yeah, I think
It's like,
the problem is the hype that
yeah,
it
Yeah.
was
how we
created
projected them.
around
The expectations
Yeah.
were way up here.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're gonna leave you guys with a video for the coming up games for week 4. Let's check it out. Okay, and those are the games that we're gonna be expecting to see during the week 4. Okay, starting off Enthroners against Panthers. I would say that it's an easy choice.
Yeah. I mean, the Enthroners, they haven't competed so far in the league. And the Panthers, they gotta show the league again how good they were the first 2 weeks. So I expect a big game from the Wrocław Panthers. And I think they get the easy win here.
Yeah.
More than 50 points.
More than 50? More than 50? All right. I mean,
The offense, only the offense
Okay.
of Panthers. I'm not saying that Enthroners is going to be 0, but more than 50.
How many
More than
touchdowns do you guys think Tony Tate is
Turbo Tate.
this game?
at least
3.
I was-
They're gonna reserve him 3 only.
I was gonna be more conservative in that sense. I was gonna say 2, but yeah, I'm gonna go for 3. What do you think?
It's gonna be tough.
Three?
Yeah, I think at least 3 for sure.
Turbo Tate. Okay, moving on to the next game. We've got the Kings against the Vikings. I mean, the Kings.
Same
I would
thing,
say pretty much the same concept. Vikings, a blowout. Tough dogs. I would say right there with Ringfire right now.
Yeah.
I would say that the Vikings should score more than 40. I mean, with a difference of 40 points against the Kings, and they shouldn't allow more than, I don't know, 2 scores.
It's gonna be a prague
One
game.
score.
Another time, prague game.
Yeah, let's
I don't think that it's gonna be 69-21 because that was absolutely madness. But 50-14, 40-20 because they are relaxed. It looks like it's gonna be a really tough game. So.
I expect Vienna this time to like try not to allow points. I mean, maybe we know the Kings, they have a couple of big playmakers, but I don't expect the Kings to score more than 10. And I think Vikings is going to blow them out for sure.
It's a tough start of the week.
Yeah.
Really, it's a tough start.
Yeah. Anyways, Paris against Galaxy. We've seen Galaxy first week against Rainfire. That was a total blowout. We got the information later on that actually Sullivan was injured. Yeah. I was not surprised because I could see that he was not there. But I don't know if he's actually returning for this week. But if he does, we might have a game.
Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise, Paris should be motivated enough to fight with everything they've got to take a W here.
I'm not in that kind of thinking. I think that Frankfurt is favorite without Sullivan.
Okay.
3-point favorite. And with Sullivan, they are 10 points favorite. I think that Paris, for me right now, they have a huge coaching staff problem. And they are going to have a tough day against a Frankfurt Galaxy that is like more stable team.
I mean, not only that, but like, for example, Charger in the Spanish version, he spoke about the fact that you think you saw like a conflict between Sweet and Zach or something like that?
Yeah, that happened this week. Yeah, I think we're seeing an ego problem here in the Paris team. Like we were saying before, I think it's all about the expectations that we all had for them to be winning every game by a lot of points because of all that talent they got. And like seeing, like when they see themselves and they're not at that point yet, it's starting to get them nervous. And yeah, we saw some talking between Zach and Kyle. Still, I think Paris, they should be very motivated to win. Even if Sullivan is there, for sure, they gotta take the win. Big conference game. We're like Athael said the last week, we're starting to think about Paris as the PSG soccer team with a lot of talent, but some ego problems there. Still, I think it's a huge game for them. I see Galaxy as the top dogs here but I think it's gonna be a really close game. I think Paris is gonna fight till the end.
I would agree with that, but it all goes down to that ego problem that you were talking about, because it can cause a lot of chaos and like a lot of bad vibes and even tension between the players of the same team. And I don't know how they're going to be facing that this week during practice.
And they have to win by offense because the defense is not good enough.
Yeah. And they have to win because of the offense. Yeah. And if the offense is not clicking all together and they're like, there's pressure and there's like tension between them, that could be a big factor coming up to this game, and it could be a big problem. Yeah. Anyways, moving on to Ravens against Dragons. It's going to be a close game. If, and it's a big if, the defense show up from the Dragons end. Because I think that the Dragons actually have a better wide receiver core compared to the DBs of the Ravens team, but the Ravens offense, it's balling out.
For me, Ravens are the favorites. For me, Ravens are the top dogs in this game. I think it's going to be a really close game. I think that Dragons has a really good chance if they stop the offense, the passing offense especially. But I think that Ravens right now are the better team of the two because they are playing so well and because we have seen a team that doesn't make many mistakes. We have seen Dragons make mistakes. We have seen Ravens being a really solid team. So for me, Berlin have the upper hand for not more than 5 points maybe, but the upper hand for me goes to Munich.
Okay.
I mean, this is a tough game for the Dragons for sure. Also a must win. I think if they want to be in the playoff fight. I think for the Dragons to play at home, it's a big advantage for the Spanish team. But yeah, for sure they gotta take advantage of the receiving core against the Munich defensive backs, because it's like, to me, it's the only weak spot that that Munich has shown so far. Their offense, they're playing well. Their front seven is good, but their DBs, they're allowing some really big plays. And I think if the Dragons can take advantage of that, and we can see another big performance by Landstrom, by Connor Miller, by their tight end, Raul Cernuda, by, of course, Johnston, I think the Dragons can manage to win the game.
Yeah. Or at least put up a big fight.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, the Guards against the Milano Seamen. All right. I mean, we've talked about this in our rookie ranking. We've ranked Seamen above them. I would say that it's time for the Seamen to actually get a W.
Yeah.
Especially because like the Guards, what we have spoke about before, they're more of a team that looks like Dragons in the first year, that they're starting to developing slowly. But we'll get to see them a little bit more probably next year's. But the Seamen, it's a team that should be capable to produce and get wins straight away.
And mid to low tier, more or less.
Yeah.
That you are not a team that is going to enter in playoffs, but you are from the 10th to the 12th, more or less, because your offense plays well, your defense makes plays. It's true that it's not consistent, but makes plays. I think that Siemens should win, and should win easy this game.
Yeah.
I mean, so far they've been competing every game. Not like the Guards. The Guards have put up some fights, but the game has been like really long for them because of what we talked before, that they only got one weapon on offense, and I think that's causing too much. I don't know. It's been too hard for them to score points. So yeah, I can see Milano taking this one for sure.
Again, if the Seamen actually manage to stop Nasita, I think the game it's over. It's over.
Yeah.
It's over. Another big game, because we will get actually to see where the Stuttgart really are.
Yeah.
Tyrol Raiders against the Stuttgart Surge. I think this is the true test to see how good are the Stuttgart.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree with you. We've said it before with the Dragons last week that to play against the Raiders, we were gonna see how good the Dragons were this season and how good the Raiders were gonna be this season, and we saw that the Raiders dominated. So they are a strong team that right now they are probably the conference favorites. But the Surge, they are right there because they've played so good so far, and this is like the big test to see who's better between both of them.
Yeah, and well, before I go on,
I have said in the Spanish version that Tyrol is going to win, more or less by 10 points, I have said. But it's later, this program, and I think that Surge is going to win.
You changed your mind.
I take my heart more than my mind. I think that Surge is not better than Tyrol by any means.
okay.
But I think that exactly the opposite of Paris. Paris came like the top dogs, they are going to win big, they are the better team, and they are losing. Sure, it's true that in Germany, because the Unicorns players, they were pretty well tired, like that fourth spot, fifth spot, they are really good. But for us, Europe, Spanish, Italian, they were like the weak German team, because always have been. And I think that kind of motivation, it's helping them a lot, and I think they can pull the upset. I think that it's the Raiders game to lose, not the Surge games to win.
Yeah.
But I think it can happen.
I think that the Stuttgart are coming up this season like the underdogs, and
Yeah.
they have that mentality of like, it's time for us to truly show what we're capable of. And I think that, I'm sorry, Stuttgart. Surge fans, I'm sorry, but I think Tyrol is going to take this one.
But I think
But it's going to be a contested game.
And
I think it's going to be a contested game, and that's actually a really good thing to see, that despite of maybe not taking the W, right, they might still be up there. And if they manage to work on those mistakes, because like here's the thing, the way I see it is that Stuttgart has really good players, good talent, good coaches, but we haven't seen them being contested.
Yeah.
And we haven't get to see their mistakes. And I think playing against such a good team as the Raiders, we're going to get to see those mistakes and those mistakes, being able to see them, Stuttgart can actually work on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's gonna be a matter of mistakes because I think Stuttgart, they are like very well coached. We've talked about all the unicorns players, and I think they are a solid team. They won't make a lot of mistakes against the Raiders, even though we know how good their D-line is. But I think it's gonna be a matter of talent. I think the Raiders, they got some of the best playmakers in the whole league, entire league. In McClum, in Sandro, Hound, the number 10, the receiver. And I think that's gonna be the key of the game because I think some of these great players are gonna have big plays against Stuttgart, and it's gonna be harder for the Surge to keep doing consistent drives and keep up with the score. So I think the Raiders will take this one, but for sure Stuttgart is gonna put up a fight.
For me, if it's less than 10 points, the difference, it's a statement from Stuttgart. And a very good statement.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. Anyways, Berlin against the Sea Devils. Both teams coming out from a win. Both of them solid wins. Berlin against a good Panthers that we have been.
They won Sea Devils.
Yeah, they won Sea Devils. They have been consistent and they managed to take that victory. And the Sea Devils having a solid victory too, but against a more weaker Cologne team. In my eyes, the way I see it is that if Devils actually take it for what it is, that it's a win against Cologne, and they don't get a ego boost from it, and they actually go like, okay, Berlin, they look solid, they look good. We have to work out, practice, be focused. I think Sea Devils can actually be contesting the game, but so far, Berlin is looking really good.
Yeah, they are a tough team to beat. I mean, you guys know how much I like Berlin, but I gotta be honest here. I think for Hamburg is another must-win game. They can't allow themselves to lose against other conference teams because we know how strong the conference is. So I think the Sea Devils will get the win, but Berlin, we know how good they've been. We know how tough they are. So it's gonna be a close one as well.
I think it's Berlin game to win. I think that Berlin is gonna win also. I think that Berlin is playing really well. They are being having less mistakes. Sorry. I think that Hamburg has some issues, especially. I don't know if to say about. It's not talent, but it's like they have some miscoordination between players.
I think their defense is not as good as it was last season. And last season we were talking about the Sea Devils as the best defense in the league, or at least up there. And this year
they have to say on the defense right now.
Yeah, this season they are not as good as they were.
Yeah,
I think that's the issue. I think that right now Thunder is the better team.
Yeah,
and it's weird, but I said that I think they are not gonna enter in playoffs, and I think that if Hamburg doesn't enter in playoffs, it's like the biggest upset that the league can have.
I agree.
Even more that Rain or Vikings staying out of the playoff, because I think that Hamburg is like the team we associate with playoffs. So.
Yeah, I agree. And anyways, I mean, let's move on to the last game of the week. I think we can go pretty fast on this one.
Yeah.
Centurions against the Fire.
Welcome home, Jude Eriksson. You are gonna face really happy people in the help. La Rubia is gonna be the president of the welcome committee. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be really tough.
It's gonna be tough. Again, I mean, I'm not expecting Cologne to win. If they actually put on
a fight.
No. If they actually put on the new QB and actually make him play. I mean, the only thing that I expect from him is to play a solid game. What do I mean by playing a solid game? Not forcing anything. Just throw whatever the defense allows you. Try to have the least turnovers as possible. If you see the sack, if you feel that you're going to get sacked, don't force anything. Just take the sack. And whenever you have to run, just run. With that said, Fire is going to take this like
Easily. Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, we know how good Rainfire has been so far. We've said it, probably best team in the league right now.
Yeah.
And Centurions coming out of releasing their quarterback. I think it's gonna be a tough.
It's gonna be a tough game.
Day.
It's gonna be a tough game.
Tough day in the office for them. So
Yeah.
yeah, Fire is taking this one easily.
Yeah. Anyways, that's all for today's episode. Remember to follow us on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, any major social media. We're there. It was a pleasure to be with you guys. Another weekend, another week out. It's been a pleasure. But before we leave, we're gonna leave you with the best touchdowns of with all the touchdowns of this week. So, anyways, see you next week and have a good one.
Thank you. Thanks for watching.
2nd and goal. Give it off to McShane. Why not? Touchdown, Kings.
Loading, strike with the lyrics like I'm bowling. Keep pushing on, keep rolling. Didn't wanna listen, but I told him one more time. Your favorite MCs, bronze or silver. These raps here are golden. Cards on the table, there's no folding. Spit bars at the club, zoning. TikTok come to London, get ripped off. Man get pissed off when I start lift off. Sweet like flavors, cookie and biscuit. Planty, yeah, the bars I get rich off. Picked up my song, yo, every time I tripped up. Little petty the big bar. Me and my G's do everything mix up. Full circle, that everybody linked up. That's irrelevant, maybe like an elephant. Keep your heart, but you know that it's elegant. Get mad, but always benevolent. Always moving up, just leveling. Constantly telling them rhyming, breaking. Cycle through these streets, I'm pedaling. Hibernating a bomb, she's back again. Oh, cause a little fire on the track again. Turn the music up, vibe like an icon. Yeah, if you want buff, we can go psycho. Head to head, bar to bar, turn the mic on. Turn the music up, vibe like an icon.
To throw it to the left side.
Icon.
He gets the touchdown.
Yeah, it's clear, it's evident. Yeah, I don't mind, I'll do it for the hell of it. Yeah, elevate bars, I regulate. Yeah, UK wheel up the tune, just meditate. I think that they get it by now, then they kinda late. Man thinks he's a bad man, but he's kinda bailiff every day like it's my last celebrate. Mind on the task, we calibrate. Loaded, strike with the lyrics like I'm bowling. Keep pushing on, keep rolling. Didn't wanna listen, but I told him. One more time, your favorite MCs, bronze or silver. Too bad these vibes here are golden. Cards on the table, there's no folding. Spit bars at the clock, zoning. That's irrelevant, maybe like an elephant. Keep it hard, but you know that it's elegant. Get mad, but always benevolent. Always moving up, just leveling. Constantly telling them rhyming, breathing. Cycle through these sheets, I'm pedaling. Hibernating them bomb sheets back again. Oh, cause the little fire on the track again. Turn the music on, vibe like an icon. Yeah, if you want buff, we can go psycho. Head to head, bar to bar, turn the mic on. Turn the music up, vibe like an icon.
He's the icon. Jeremy Sarko, Matt Cruz, all of the talent that Hare has shown, those sorts of passes, you just can't throw that in that situation. He was looking for Michelson. Here. Not sure was that ball just scrimmage by Bomback. It was going to be a risky throw in any event, and Harris, the quarterback draw for Hare, working perfectly. Jacob to the corner of the end zone for the touchdown. Complete to Terrion Robinson.
Beautiful blocking. Nice block there. So look at this great play here by Hennessy. Able to toss it. Wow, look at him battle there. Hennessy, beautiful protection, wide open, busted coverage like I mentioned there, and Lewis Dyer, untouched, down into it, you see the shotgun, built high, toss, and it is hot! What a big reception for Jordan Newman, and Yep, that is considered a pass. As that is Joshua Haas with that quick. That's why. 84-1, but either way, the Rocker, he finds a touchdown there. Jump outside, intercepted. Leaping untouched down the field. Was he touched?
They've managed to open up their account here in the first quarter, running the old Wildcat formation with Silas missing. And get it off on 3rd and 13. Jeffries, ball in the direction of the end zone. Touchdown, Ravens! Well, play a game, but long ball and a catch and a foot race. And you are not going to catch Markel Castle. Oh my! Well, we speculate get themselves into the win column for the first time in the short franchise. Jeffries, oh my goodness, he went right back to what got him on the scoreboard to end the first half, and he opens up the second half going right back.
For the Fire from the 8s. Clark looking left, throws that way, wide open, touchdown! Way too. Clark to the right side this time. Quick screen, and here he goes all the way for the touchdown. This was 5 minutes to go in the first quarter. Looks right, throws complete underneath. Can he get in? Dives in. Yes, he spins his way in like a top. Touchdown. Touchdown in this little play on the way into 2. Clark looking left side, throwing and complete. That is another line fire touchdown. Legs and the throw is easy. Touchdown. With it this time, and Edwards on 1st and 10 unloads on the right side, caught, and there they go, Bertine for the touchdown on one play. 5 passing touchdowns to his name. On the gun looking for a 6th, and there it is right there, way too easy. Back to the ground on 1st down, and here goes Yeppo. High stepping into the end zone for the touchdown. On 2nd down, he goes for it with his legs, and he dives in for the touchdown. Just got enough room. Just saw the final nail in the pocket. With the throw, and there it is. Another touchdown for the Vikings.
Back in the end zone, Lewis got it. Touchdown, Vienna. Humphrey keeping himself, lunges over the goal line. He's in. Touchdown, for a 9-yard gain. Keeping it on the ground again inside the 5 to the 4 to the 3. Big and banging his way, forcing forward. Is he in? Getting bit on play action. Elbig looking on top. As a man, that's Boa. Touchdown. 44 yards out, and the route. In the end zone again. There's Boa. The hat trick. He's got it. Touchdown, Vienna. Here's Vegan breaking loose. Jailbreak run at the 20, the 10, the 5. Touchdown. Now there's the icing, the cherry, all of it on the road. Sells this thing out. It's got a man available into the end zone. Touchdown. Touchdown passes, both going deep on the day. To beat, he could be off to the races. Xavier Edwards, wire to wire, touchdown. Well, they just keep.
It looks like he ran the second fastest 40-yard dash of anyone at the NFL International Combine back in 2021. And you see his speed to get by Daniel Piakovsky, and then Isom spots the coverage. Plus Jackson to outfox Osamek in the end zone. He did just that. Motion man. Battling effort to get Isom, a perfect throw. Nice job by Vitali that time to step up in the pocket. Perfect throw. Goal. Ruzovsky, can he do? He bounces outside and scores! Firmly back in the box seat again. A little stutter step maneuver to get free of Osamek down the sideline. Vilcek, a huge wide open behind Alex Spillum.
Here's the second half. Right back up. Jarvis McClam takes the ball past the 20-yard line, and he will scamper into the end zone. Touchdown, Raiders! Uh-oh, and he's got the windmill. Had an empty backfield, and they whip one in the direction of the end zone. Touchdown, Dragons! Josh Johnston. Once again, receivers in formation. Hausemacher stays back to block. He throws one over the middle to McClam. It's going to be a foot race. McClam is gone. You're not going to catch him in this lifetime. Carry up the middle, touchdown! Oh, he's going to swim right over the end line. That's a touchdown! Finally, the Barcelona Dragons get off the schneid and Taylor